Happy February, everybody. Time to go back through and see how the monthly budget went for January. Yeah. January was kind of my last month of normal for the foreseeable future. If you guys are new here, I was very suddenly and unexpectedly furloughed on January 18th. So it's been an interesting couple weeks, you might say. So that has impacted my budget a little bit. Some of the spending happened, of course, before I got furloughed or knew what was coming. Obviously, I didn't see it coming at all. So, yeah. So we'll cover that when we get there, but I did my best and it is what it is. So let's jump in. So here's my January spreadsheet. We always start at the top with income, specifically W2 income, because that's always been my highest income, which is now different for February. But for January, my employer was never, they didn't pay a week behind. They paid for current week. They paid every other week, but you got paid on that second week, you got paid that week. So you got paid before you even really officially submitted your timesheet on Friday. So luckily, that second January paycheck came in on the 18th for me. So I got paid, which was a Thursday. So I actually got paid for Friday as well, even though they told me do not show up to work tomorrow for that Friday, the 19th. And that was it. So unfortunately, actually, because they weren't like a week behind with pay, I found out I was no longer going to be getting paid anymore that day from my last paycheck. So I had nothing coming to look forward to coming in like the following week or the following pay period. So that was kind of interesting, but that's okay. I at least got my 2 full paychecks in January, I guess, because my next paycheck was going to be February 1st or 2nd, I guess, for this month, but it didn't work out that way. But at least got 2 full paychecks in January. So I had a goal of take-home pay $4,050, and that is after 401k, HSA, and health insurance deductions were made. And I brought home $3,862. I don't actually even know why it was less, to be perfectly honest. I might have to dig into that. I don't know. When I filled this out, I didn't even think about it, but that's weird. That's weird to me. Guys, I don't know. Is what it is. Rental property. I have a goal of $410.25 of cash flow, and I actually got $476.31. And that is because my tenant moved out. I think it was because she was no longer in her lease. Her lease technically expired in December, but she asked for a 1-month extension. So the property management team did not keep their property management fee for the month of January. So I got the full cash flow for it. So I will have to pay them back, of course, whenever a new tenant comes in, but whatever. So it's a little bit higher than was expected, but I just saved all of that cash flow as I do every month, which good thing. Now YouTube Pay, I just have a goal of meeting the $100 payout threshold, and I think this was fully just January, but I got 100, no, it wasn't. That was January and December together. I got $173.45, and I had been just adding that to my student loan savings balance, and I elected to just leave it in there because I did get this payout a few days after I realized I was furloughed, but I thought, you know what, I'm just going to leave it where it is in the student loan savings for now. I have an emergency fund separate from that for now. And then this next category is just direct support from you very kind souls that choose to support me in that way. So this is Venmo and PayPal. I have zero expectation for this, but in the month of January, you guys actually gifted me $696. And I know you can't see the full note. Let's bring that back. Come on. But I just have that broken down by Transfer Tuesdays. Just absolutely so insane. I am so appreciative of you guys, certainly during this time of turbulence, you could say. It's been an emotional roller coaster, as you guys have seen, but we're getting through. Thank you to you guys for bringing peace of mind to me in this time, because that's insanely beneficial. Now down to the expenses. Rent is always $15.55, and that's what I paid. Mobility training, I was so excited to jump into that this year. So January was my first month with that. It's $60 a month, but they gave a like holiday one time your first month discount, so I only paid $47.99 for the month of January. And unfortunately, because of the furlough, I did cancel that, so this is the only month I used it. Electricity, it's usually around 60, but it was $63.85, a few dollars over there. Internet is $65 a month. Mohila is my student loan servicer, $334.96 a month. Don't worry, that will be zero for February. They're aware of the employment situation. My gym is $15 a month, and Netflix is $22.99 a month. Those are items that are next on the chopping block if things get to that point. Food and household, I normally budget myself $500. I actually spent $351.26. I think that's my lowest that I've spent on food and groceries, household things, in a very long time. And obviously that was born out of necessity. And I guess, again, I found out about the furlough on the 18th, so just after halfway through the month. So certainly once that happened, it reined in all excess spending, right? So is what it is. Gas and car wash, I budget myself $100. Actually, negative $90.43. So that's because my employer has been reimbursing mileage for field sampling that I do. So they actually ended up paying me just over $200 in gas mileage reimbursement, and I never spent that much on gas anyway, so I actually got a surplus from them in the gas department for the month. So yay, thanks guys. Pet supplies, I budget $50. I only spent $19, but it will be a bigger order for them in February, but that's okay. Invest, I have a monthly goal of investing $100, and I did in January. And I invested $100, and that went to my Roth for 2023. You can still contribute to your Roth accounts right up until tax day. So you have up until April, whatever it is, to still contribute to last year's Roth. So I was just trying to do that. Obviously, the retirement investing is going to look a little different here for the foreseeable future. And same with donation. I donated $50 to Lighthouse Farm Sanctuary, which is a farm sanctuary here in New England. A cause I care very deeply about. And savings, I had a goal of $600. I only saved $300 in the month of January. Again, due to the employment situation. And spending, I am continuing a low buy year. I did one for all of 2023, and I'm going to be doing one for 2024 and probably forever and always, because I'm just not that person that likes to spend money. But this is material item spending. I do not include experiences here. Yeah, we cut that down for January. I spent $77.61, and interestingly enough, all of this spending was done after I found out about the furlough, but that's just because I needed to load up. $46 of that was on refilling my 2 face serums that I use, because, we're still trying to age gracefully over here. But I just kind of, when the furlough hit, I did a bit of oh crap, I don't really want to leave the house much going forward and be spending extra on gas. So I went and did a stock up of pantry items and healthcare beauty items, I guess, that I was low on, and I really only buy those once every 3 or 4 months anyway, but it was time, so I spent a little bit to like kind of stock myself up in preparation of job uncertainty and not knowing. Well, so I'm furloughed for up to 90 days. So every 30 days, they're going to be reevaluating if they want me back, which mentally, I've like the way they have treated me thus far. I do not even want to go back, but I'm also not going to be stupid and just, if I don't have a job by then, like, no, I don't want to come back. If they even ask, I'm not getting a warm fuzzy by any means about that happening, and hopefully I'll find something else between now and then. But I hope that makes sense. Maybe that's an over explanation, but it just made sense to me to just go get things I'm going to need for a little while so that I can hunker down at home and not be spending money on gas and going out and doing things. So I hope that makes sense. But not that anyone cared, but some of that spending was also getting a few items for my windowsill garden to grow some veggies and herbs. Which, again, funny enough, I started these like the weekend before I got furloughed. Just, man, the sense of timing on life. But anyway, moving on. This is just where I've been putting experiences and other things that crop up in the month. And at the beginning of January, I spent $300 on a ski pass. Skiing is insanely expensive, and I wanted to do that this year because I love skiing. I do it every year, but I was trying to kind of rein it in a bit. I knew it wasn't going to be a lot of skiing this year just because my finances are different than last winter when I was making a very different salary than I was. And now I'm making zero salary, so it's even worse. But yeah, so I bought a 3-day pass for a specific mountain earlier in the year. And I thought, you know what, that'll be at least my 3 days of skiing. I'm really going to enjoy myself. It's a big mountain, so that means it's an expensive mountain. But buying a 3-day pass, it's a little bit cheaper. So that's $100 a day at $300 for 3 days. But to buy just a 1-day lift ticket to this mountain is $145, which is just disgustingly insane. But again, luckily I already have all of my equipment and everything I need. It's just the lift pass, the gas to get there, pack my lunch for the day kind of thing. But I bought it before the furlough, and it's okay. I will use that. I have 2 more days. I did use 1 day already. Now, let's go down to student loans. This is the one debt that I have left, aside from the rental property mortgage, but that the cash flow pays for itself, so I don't count that. That's an asset, not a liability. This is my one liability, student loans. I owe $178,209 at this point, and yes, I've been paying on them for over a decade. It's absolutely, that's still more than I ever borrowed, for the record. If people don't, I feel like people sometimes don't understand the frustration that millennials have with student loans and getting out from under the absolute disgusting predatory structure of student loans. This is why, paying for about a decade now, and I still owe more than I ever borrowed. But anyway, so far, or when we started January, I had $33,720 saved up for them. Yes, I'm just saving for them instead of paying on them. It's my thoughts and preferences. I've talked about it a million times. I won't belabor it here, but in the month of January, I added so that YouTube pay of $173 plus the account interest, so $305 in total. It was $134 in interest that the account gained. It is sitting in a SoFi savings account that has 4.6% APY at the moment, so that's pretty decent. So that brought the total balance up to $35,122 saved. So that's the month by month, and that is certainly in current times, that's like my emergency fund. Yes, I'm saving up specifically for student loans, but obviously that's money that is there in case of emergency, which job loss is certainly an emergency, and luckily I don't have to go there yet, but it brings peace of mind. And so now I want to jump over to my year at a glance, as I always do. Give a net worth update. So for the end of January, net worth is at $14,244, which is wild. If you guys have been following, we just crossed into a positive net worth in October. So insane growth in the last few months, but a lot of that is because of my 401k and my Roth. The stock market has been looking better in the last few weeks. It doesn't give me a great warm and fuzzy because here in the US, the economy is feeling a little weird. And I don't want that to come from like a fear-mongery place. I hate that shit. I don't watch the news specifically because I feel like it's 90% fear-mongering, and that's disgusting. But I don't know. You see a lot of headlines that the economy's so great. You know, we've staved down inflation and interest rates are going to get better. The housing market's going to get better. But when you talk or when you hear how everyday people are feeling and you see those news articles, no one feels very financially comfortable, safe, stable right now here in the US. There's a ton of job layoffs that have been happening despite all of these, oh, the economy's great kind of verbiage that's out there. And I don't know, guys. Anyway, I don't know where I was going with that other than the fact that my net worth has grown quite a bit in the last few months because of the stock market, but I just don't feel like that's necessarily where things are gonna hang. I don't know. I'm not trying to be like a negative Nancy. I'm just trying to be realistic. Like not that it matters, but I guess I'm just trying to say that these two values right here, my 401k and my Roth, feel a little like overinflated at the moment for what feels like is to come here. I don't know. Hopefully I'm wrong, but we'll see. Yeah, like I was saying, I do have these sinking funds that I've set in place for expenses that come up, like car things, which I need to start thinking about because in March, my car registration is due, my annual car insurance is due. You know, like I have bigger expenses coming up that are like annual expenses, so I do have savings for those, so that is okay. And I have this emergency fund of $10,000. I worked so damn hard to get that damn emergency fund, and the amount of mental peace that has brought since I've had it is incalculable. But also, man, when faced with a very sudden job loss, for the first time in my life, I've never been fired or furloughed ever. And which I understand is like such a grateful thing. I'm able to say that, but it's really thrown me off balance, and I feel very unstable all of a sudden. And as much peace of mind as that has brought, certainly the student loan savings on top of that helps a ton, and the real estate savings and these things that I have been, you guys know I spent a lot of time at a high paying job specifically for this reason. I bolstered myself to get to a place where I can feel okay about my future and I have options for my future. And I'm trying so hard to fight for financial independence so that I don't have to, how do I say this? Be at the whim of corporate America and have to have my whole livelihood put in jeopardy by one quick phone call from my boss's boss telling me I'm suddenly no longer employed. Do not report to work tomorrow. The fact that someone can do that to my livelihood and my everything is so not okay with me. I'm not saying W-2 jobs are not wonderful and don't provide, but the very recent events and the very harsh reality of everything that's happened over the last couple weeks has been very eye-opening. And I've been fighting for financial independence because I knew shit like this was an option. It was a very real reality, certainly during the pandemic. Like, that made all of this shit very evident for everybody. But luckily, I was able to continue working through that because I was a, what did they call them? Like a necessity employee or whatever it was called. Because, I worked at a power plant. Like, we had to power the hospitals that were also necessary workers and things like that. So I was protected in that period when a lot of people were not. And so I'm very grateful for that and that time and being able to hang with that job and get that salary to bolster myself. I just had no idea that this would ever be my reality and come into fruition and have it suddenly become like such a necessity to have cash savings. And it's just, wow, I don't know where I'm going with this, but I don't know. It's just been a really turbulent few weeks, and I'm just so grateful for the timing of everything with that shitty job. I'm so glad to get away from it, and I'm still so glad to not be at that last job. And now with this current job, I'm also feeling glad to get away from that as well. So hopefully that's what shakes out. Obviously, I've been putting my job applications, my resume out there, cover letters. I'm doing what I can. It's a shitty job market, obviously. But there's been a couple things that I'm like, oh man, that would be so cool. So please keep your fingers crossed for me. But I don't know. It's just been a weird time. I'm just so appreciative of all of you that have supported me through this. And man, the words of encouragement and positivity, and so many of you can absolutely relate, which sucks. It's gross. Like, man, just going through the unemployment system, I was wrong. I thought by me being on the ball and my state being on the ball with filing my claims and getting it to me ASAP, I thought there was a 2-week wait period, because there's like the mandatory wait period and then the week where you can submit your job search efforts from the week prior. But it's actually going to be 3 weeks before I even get my first unemployment check, which, as I've told you guys, the maximum allowable amount per week in this state is not even enough to cover my basic necessities. So I'm just so grateful, so blessed that I have not been living paycheck to paycheck, and I've been able to save and cushion myself for this shit. But because I can't even imagine going into this situation already living paycheck to paycheck and having the reality of, like, you don't even get unemployment assistance, which is not enough on its own anyway, but you don't even get that for 3 weeks minimum. That's if everything goes right between now and then. They called me again yesterday just to ask another question about my claim, and the lady was like, yeah, you clicked suspended when you should have clicked laid off. And I was like, well, I was furloughed. Like, that wasn't an option in the drop-down menu. She was like, yeah, that's considered a layoff. And I was like, oh. Okay. You don't know, but okay. Yeah, it feels very layoffy. Let me just read this email to you guys. I'm sorry, I'm not trying to make this, like, drawn out by any means, but let me read you the specific email I got from my current employer yesterday. Hi, Rachel. You are requested to return your stormwater sampling equipment by February 9th. Please use the attached FedEx label. Thank you. Okay. Yeah. Everything about everything just makes me not have a warm fuzzy that this is just a furlough. Everything feels very permanent. And again, I hope I find a different job in this time because I don't want to go back there. I don't want to go back to a company. Just, man, the phone call when I already told you guys about the phone call, but that was just like so wild. So wild. And then just to get a very, please return your equipment email. Like, I'm just waiting. I'll be interested to see if they even wait the 90 days to before they ask me for like my laptop back and everything, because it's all getting very cutthroat around here. Man, life is funny, huh? Y'all, I'm planning to do some drastic shit over here. Feels in the air, you know? Feels like the time is right. I love to uproot my life, and when I get kicked in the head, I've never been kicked in the head by corporate America, but when I get kicked in the head by something, by life in general, it's time to go. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys soon. Bye.